that we welcome in. They only come in at a certain time, so we have to wait exactly to the precise moment. Isn't it amazing how much our world has changed? I was writing in the Buffalo News this morning about the difference between the Flintstone generation, which I feel anyone who grew up before my kids, basically all of us, and the Jetsons. You guys know the Flintstones and the Jetsons? Yeah. So they zipped around on their various things, and the technology. We were rewatching a Flintstones today because my youngest was a little sick today, and in the very first season, which is 1961, it's crazy. They had a flying car in the Flintstones. Do you remember this? It was a pedal. It was a stone car that could fly. It was just like the Jetsons.
Was there a pterodactyl underneath it?
No, that was later seasons. There's actually, in the first season, there's no kids. It's just the couple. It's sort of like the honeymooners, basically, in cartoon. It's amazing. They're flying. I'm like, what is going on here? Maybe that's why they had to create the Jetsons. So we are really delighted to have you. You're in for a real treat tonight, whether you're with us in person or out there, wherever you are in your own homes. We have with us the wonderful Ken Kaufman, who is here. We're still sending out prayers and love to Paul Staley, and Cantor's been getting some good news, so it looks like he might be on the way back. So we've been it's really been a difficult time for our organist and his family, and we continue hope for his continued improvement and health. So we are using our Mishkan Tefillah prayer book. We'll be announcing the pages. You might notice, those of you who are regulars, there's a couple of people missing. Anyone notice who's missing here? Joanne, our executive director, is not here. And Bruce. Bruce has an event over at Sweet Home. If you know about Bruce Chorus, he is also, I think, on the Sweet Home board, does a lot of their programming, and they happen to have a big event tonight. So Sweet Home, his high school, takes precedence over his home. We'll make sure to give him a lot of guilt for that. And because I know he would do the same for us. We'll be talking about that actually later in the service. You might have noticed that I did, there was a handout, Linda and Mark, thank you for ushering. There's a handout that we'll be using later in the services that will go over what exactly it means to feel guilty and shame as well. So I think that we're ready. I think we need to do our opening song, right? Yeah. Ki Eshmerah. Okay, so we're going to do a wonderful Zemer song for Shabbat. It's on page 129, Ki Eshmerah Shabbat, which is why we observe Shabbat, 129.
Ki Eshmerah Shabbat Eish B'reini Ki Eshmerah Shabbat Eish B'reini Oti Le'yom Eyad B'no B'uveni Oti Le'yom Eyad imagine entering into the sanctuary for Shabbat in Yemen, the Jewish community in Yemen. This is a Sephardic Yemen song, and picked up many, many years ago to be used in Ashkenazic synagogues, and just a beautiful melody, very filled with pageantry.
Yeah, we often will sing songs around the Sabbath paper, and this is one of my favorite. I learned it in college, but I didn't know it was from Yemen, so that's wonderful. Just the way the melody goes up and down like that, I love that.
So pretty.
Why don't we take a nice deep breath of Shabbat? Shabbat is our parentheses, or a period after a busy week. We need that. Without any periods like in our Torah or punctuation, our lives don't make any sense. It's very important that we have an opportunity to reflect, to come together, to sing, and to process what we've been through. So what we'll do is we'll breathe in everything from this past week that we want to hold on to, all of those precious memories, maybe the sunlight gleaming off of our lawns or wherever we were, maybe the faces of the people that we love, maybe an experience that we had this week that was joyful. And then we also want to get rid of all of those honking horns and, I don't know, lines at Wegmans, whatever it is. We'll let go of that. That stuff we don't need to hold on to. So deep breath in and out. May tonight really be an opportunity for us to feel the full experience of our lives. We are going to light our candles over here and do Kiddush. Last week we had our women of Shir Shalom Shabbat, and Marina Finkelstein over there. If it's okay, can I invite you up to light our candles? Sorry to put you on the spot, but last week she led beautifully, so I know she knows everything. So, that would be good for everyone. Yeah, page 120, 120. Marina, of course, is also on our board of directors and executive board, and federation board, and Women of Shir Shalom. No, I don't know.
Can't sit still. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. I'm just having a
Lehadlik
ner shel Shabbat.
May these candles light our way into Shabbat, and the Kiddush is on page 123. Marina actually led last week. Would you like to do it again?
I'll do it again.
Okay, wonderful.
This one I'm ready with. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila l'mikraye kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. And they did a wonderful job last week. For those of you who experienced it, it brought back so many memories to see. They put together a wonderful slideshow as well. In honor of this beautiful weather, I picked out a poem for tonight. It's by Kenneth Rexroth. It's called Another Spring. The seasons revolve and the years change with no assistance or supervision. The moon, without taking thought, moves in its cycle full crescent and full. The white moon enters the heart of the river. The air is drugged with azalea blossoms. Deep in the night, a pine cone falls. Our campfire dies out in the empty mountains. The sharp stars flicker in the tremulous branches. The lake is black, bottomless in the crystalline night. High in the sky, the northern crown is cut in half by the dim summit of a snow peak. O heart, heart so singularly intransient and corruptible, here we lie entranced by the starlit water, and moments that should each last forever slide unconsciously by us like water. Love that sense. We're really moving from the spring towards the summer, actually, it feels like. We are well ready to welcome in Shabbat with L'chad Di, page 138. The Kabbalists believe that Shabbat lurks out there. We actually have to invite her in. And they would stand by the fields in Israel and look for Shabbat, and sometimes even dress as a Shabbat bride to really give that spirit of Shabbat, to allow us to fully rest. So what we're going to do is we're going to sing the first verse on page 138 and the last verse on 139. On that last verse, we rise and we face the doorways over there, or those of you joining us virtually, face whatever way you'd like towards your outside. We bow to the Shabbat bride as she enters, and then we welcome one another with our kingly and queenly waves. Standing for our call to prayer, our call to community, page 146.
La la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. La la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la.
remain standing on page 147, and let's read at the bottom of the page, 147. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthest most star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. We continue with our love song to God, Ahavat Olam, page 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגר יומם ולילה ואהבתך תשים ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Page 152, 153, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vahed Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vahed Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated, and we continue with the words of the V'ahavta from Deuteronomy 6 on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מידותיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לעוד בידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לרעיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Let's continue in the English on page 157, and we'll read the bottom reading responsibly. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory together. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way, inspired by prophets and instructed by sages. Time and again, we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. And we sing that song at the shores of the sea on page 158, remembering the joy we felt walking into freedom for the first time.
So this song is in Hebrew, and there's some English in it, very simple. Who is like you, Adonai? And we see that in the direct translation right underneath the Hebrew on page 158, Mi Chamocha by Josh Nelson. Mi Chamocha Bahelim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Neta Bakodesh Norati Lot Asefele Mi Chamocha Bahelim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Neta Bakodesh Norati Lot Asefele. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zehili anu ve'hameru Adonai loch le'olam. Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Try the who is like you with me. Who is like you? Who
What a gorgeous, yeah, I think that this is how we clap here, Broadway wave. That was our first time doing that one, I think. Is that?
You know, I did it my first summer here, a couple times under the tent, so it might sound a little bit familiar. I did it for about, about a month under the tent in July, 2016 was the last time I did that. And it's such a beautiful piece, and I wanted to drag something out special for, Ken being here, a special piece. And that came to mind, and he loved it, and he's the litmus test. So if Ken says yes, we do that.
Well, it's wonderful, and I hope it arrives back again, too. And hopefully next time I'll remember it, too. I'm going to invite everyone to rise. We have our silent meditation, or tefillah prayer. It begins in the Hebrew on page 164, and it will continue until page 180. Really just take an opportunity for your own private prayers, and whenever you're ready to be seated, you may be seated. We're going to continue with the prayer for peace, the Oseh Shalom, page 180. Probably one of the most familiar of all Hebrew words, shalom, wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Oseh Shalom. Huyaseh shalom, huyaseh shalom, huyaseh shalom, Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oseh shalom. Shalom, Bimroma, huyaseh shalom, huyaseh shalom, huyaseh shalom, Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
I notice a lot of the composers we have are male, but this one, Alana Jacobs, she is a female composer.
And it's actually Ilana Jagoda.
Oh, Jagoda, okay.
Jagoda, and she just released a new album,
Oh.
like just last week.
I think I've heard the name Jagoda before, too. We're going to turn our attention to healing prayers. So often when we see those around us really needing support, there's so little we can do. We can pray, we can visit, and we can maybe offer meals, but really it's our prayers that's the one thing that we can offer, the fact that we're thinking about each other. And so many here in this room or beyond this room in our lives are in need of prayers. So we're going to take an opportunity now. I'm going to read our list of names from our synagogue. Unfortunately, so many recently with COVID experiences that are included on our list, but many different needs, and we'll send our prayers out to them. And afterwards, if you have people in your lives that you're thinking about, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll go around the room, and you can offer other names or just hold them in your heart as well. As a Shir Shalom community, we are sending our prayers to Rachel Anderson, Judy Bardak, Stephen Bernstein, William Wade Boker, Ebony Burse, Esteban Cabarro, Vito Cavallari, Dolores Denzel, Patrick Fitzgerald, Sue Frank, Jane Gilman, Nancy Hersbrunt, Tracy Kasman, Brian Kern, Gail Kleberg, Mark Nightinger, Manny Quichin, Mary Korchowski, Ryan Lynch, Peter Mackler, Helene Mesh, Rebecca Mesnikoff, Mike Millman, Jill Shire Monahan, Janine Morris, Tom Moscato, Ruth Meyerowitz, Ann Oppenheim, Betty Placati, Brandon Ryan, Cheryl Rossi, Barry Schoenfeld, David Shavat, Christopher Smith, Paul Staley, Margaret Stevenson, Lynn Ullman, Athena Tucker Pasiak, Jeanette Taransky, Anita Wiesel, Yechezkel Avram Ben Brina, Chana Ezra Ben Shuel, Sarah Gittel Ben Chaya Vedina, and Eli Ben Moshe. If you have other names?
Mike Targon.
Daniel Fugere, Roger Marchione, Linda Vegas, Ann Oppenheim. I think that's...
We turn to the Misha Barak, our healing prayer, which is on page 371 in our prayer books, 371, as we turn our attention and really send all our prayers out to those in need.
Sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leibotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema
a complete healing of body and soul. Shabbat Shalom. And we say this is, I used to do this all the time. You just say it back. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Perfect. Now we're all insiders here. Okay, so we're going to talk about two of the strongest human emotions there are. And this is not love. These are harder emotions than that. This is guilt and shame. These are two emotions that often inform a lot of what we do as a society, as individuals, and they color a lot of our lives. But we feel guilty because we don't talk about them. So we're going to have an opportunity to talk a little bit about how these are used. And I want to credit Mara Coven-Gelman. The sheets that you have over here, she's the head of our Jewish Community Relations Council. She put this together. I changed her question slightly. This is for a staff gathering we had. But it was so wonderful, I thought I should share it with you. So first of all, think about in your own life, think about a time that you felt guilty. Probably not too hard, right? Anytime maybe we go into the cupboard, we feel a little guilty. What about shame? That's an even harder emotion. These are really two instruments used to control behavior in our society. Let me give you an example that came up this week about when you would use guilt and shame and why you have to be really careful too. So this week you might have noticed our wonderful Williamsville Village board meeting. Did anyone see this on Monday? As always, there's a lot of craziness in government. I'm very grateful to be here, not over there. And in this board meeting, they're discussing various things. And as they're talking, because they're sharing some things that they're reflecting on probably from outside media, they start comparing COVID regulations to Holocaust, and specifically to Anne Frank. And this was a discussion. It made it into the newspaper. When these kind of things happen, I mentioned Mara, our organizations, our Jewish Community Relations Council, our Holocaust Resource Center, and various organizations around the community, suddenly they have a day's worth of work trying to figure out what to do. So we have to decide, what do we do? Something happened that we're not comfortable with. First of all, we have to protect. We have a lot of survivors, Holocaust survivors in our community. It's not really right that their experience is being kind of trivialized in a way that's really not fair and demeaning and potentially very hurtful to them. So we really need to do something. The question is what? And our two instruments that we really have are guilt and shame. And here's you're going to feel the difference. And honestly, she brought this to our meeting last week. This was before this all happened. But as I reflected on how we are approaching this over the last couple of days, I realized it was really about how much guilt do you use and how much shame, because each has a different effect on the situation. So we have a couple of individuals. I don't need to name them because personally it doesn't even matter. These are, I just want to use this as an example of how do we handle and how do we use it and how we have to be very careful about how we use both of these emotions. All right? So let's start off with guilt. Perhaps they didn't know what they were doing and things were said. So just pointing it out might elicit guilt. And actually, if you saw the newspaper responses, because the newspaper, we released a statement within the first 24 hours, and the newspapers responded, and also the TV news as well. And you could see that the politicians down there in Williamsville were struggling. They were not exactly saying they were sorry, but they could see a little, you could feel a little tinge of guilt. Guilt enables the behavior to change just like a slightly. You got something in the lane in front of you. You're going to move a little bit. It's not a complete dropping of the situation. It's a little, for example, later at night, maybe after the service, I get a little hungry and I know I'm not supposed to eat after a certain hour. I still might go over there and, grab a cracker or something. And one cracker, yeah. And afterwards I'll say, that wasn't so good. My guilt reflex will kick in, right? But it's not enough to stop me from that behavior, right? So the first thing is it's good. You need to use that guilt because you can see, and we can see by the newspaper response, you can see it in the follow-up article, which was, I think, on Wednesday, you can see they were struggling. Well, the politician said, we weren't really trying to demean the Holocaust. We were talking about it this. They're trying to add kind of a little subtlety. We meant no disrespect, I guess, basically. But the behavior hasn't changed. So now you have a bigger question. And these are part of the arguments that we have. Because the next level, which is shame. Now, if you use shame is going, all out, bringing, 100 people out to the next board meeting and having one after another decry what's going on there. It's putting it into the newspaper in big print. This is the worst organization in the world. These individuals are terrible. That is where shame is. It's a much higher level than the guilt. Now the problem is, you need to use shame, but you have to be very circumspect about it. If some people, when they get shamed, and I won't say who, but I'm sure you know people in your life, maybe they react very strongly against that emotion. So you could actually have the opposite effect. Instead of going away from the behavior, the shame caused you to go directly into it. Now you got a real problem. So you pinned people in a position, and the position is such a strong position that you prevent them from doing anything but continuing that behavior. So that's one part of it. The other part about it is, I feel a little guilty about it. I have to see, we want to work together. Whoever is on the village board, we're living together, we're working together. We want this to be a working relationship. Once you go into the shame, you might have damaged the relationship forever. It might do the work, depending on the individuals involved. It might not do the work, but regardless, you're taking a real chance. So as we talk about these kind of things, it comes up all the time. We need these two emotions in society. These are from earliest days of human beings, they've been using shame and guilt. And the question is how you can do it. It's very interesting biblically. What is the worst punishment that you could receive? It's not stoning, by the way. The worst punishment is something they call karet. Karet means to be cut off. It means to be shunned, to be sent out. It's the scarlet letter. Shunned. It is the hardest emotion. It is actually a form of death. And so it is very strong and very hard. And you have to be very careful. One of the things we had talked about in our group is cancel culture. These kind of things, that is a form of shunning. And again, it's a real question. Maybe it's worth it if things haven't changed enough and you're not getting any change, and no matter how much guilt you throw on, they're still going for the cabinet. But you run the other risk of going way too far. Because it's such a strong thing. So if you look over here on your sheets, Mara had found this wonderful teaching by Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. This is the former chief rabbi of England, and he died a couple of years ago, but he's really one of the great teachers in the Jewish world and very ecumenical as well. And he often would pull from all different fields. That's one of the ways, if you really want some amazing Jewish commentaries, you look up his name. He's fantastic. And if you look over here, he quotes from anthropologist Ruth Benedict, who talks about how there are shame cultures and guilt cultures. In shame cultures, what matters most is what other people think of you. So you're always looking around, and you don't want to make a mistake. We see this in a lot of autocracies, by the way, right? If you make a mistake, it is very serious. If you offend the hierarchy, they're going to kidnap you and take you away. That's really bad news. Whereas in guilt culture, it is what the inner voice of conscience tells you. So they're trying to create, we call it the Jewish mama inside of you. That is going to dissuade you from doing good. I saw a great example of this last week in our Torah portion. Last week's Torah portion was Kedoshim, the holiness code. And you know the holiness code. It says, love your neighbor as yourself. Don't put a stumbling block in front of the blind. And curse the deaf, all these wonderful rules. But at the beginning, when you read it, you know what it says? And I love this. Don't eat 3-day-old sacrifices. That's how I know mothers were involved. Right? I mean, this is so great, because if you eat that 3-day-old sacrifice, you're probably going to get sick. And the mother doesn't want you to do that. So come on. It's a great form of guilt there. That's in there, and because it's really horrendous. I mean, you don't want to be in that situation that you end up eating spoiled food, of course. So I asked a couple of questions here. He wrote this in 2014. We can think about how it applies today. But the anthropologist and Rabbi Sachs suggest that Judaism and the Christianity and the larger, the cultures that came from there are guilt-based cultures. And the previous cultures, like the Greek and Roman cultures, they're shame-based. I don't really see the dichotomy exactly like that. I think there's a mixture. But actually, in our Torah portion, we can see the biblical mindset, which is closer to the ancient world. They love to shame you, so it is true when you look through the Torah. But what part do these play when we think about guilt? Guilt means that you can get better. Guilt means that it's not forever. Guilt means that you can say you're sorry, that you can try to change your behavior. There's what we call teshuvah. So we don't often have an open discussion, but if you'd like to throw out something, just say it. And actually, let's see. We do have a microphone here. I know it's a big group here. I would rather, work in your smaller pairs, but unfortunately with COVID, it's probably better to stick like this. So why don't you just project and I'll repeat. So if you have anything you want to say, what do you think? Are we a guilt-based, more guilt or more shame? What do you think? Yes, Dr. Fine, I'd love to hear.
Well, the most horrible punishment you can have, and it was set up by Admiral Levy, who was one of the founders of the Naval Academy, is called the silence. The person just isn't there. And after about a day of the silence, just ignore the person. It's horrible. I've seen it happen with my own eyes.
Dr. Fine was saying within the Navy, there's something called the silence, which basically means you pretend. We know this from grade school. Unfortunately, with little kids, they often do this, the silent treatment. It means, as Dr. Fine was saying, it's like you're not even there.
Yeah, to give an example, when a person wants to have something to eat, he's passed over, just completely gone.
Right, so if they're in the line for food, they just don't get the food.
Yeah, and he even begged the captain to take the silence away, and they announced that so-and-so is off the silence. The chief was always given to officers.
So the people being punished, they really have to beg the officers to be able to be released because it's such a horrible punishment. It's not meant to last for a long time. Hopefully not. Any other thoughts on it? Do you think, well, we'll just do a show of hands. What do you think? Are we more a guilt-based culture? Raise your hand if you think that. I'm feeling guilty about this. Okay. Are we more of a shame-based culture? What do you think? Okay. So we got more guilt, but some shame. Anyone have two hands up or both? Yes, Julia?
So I think when I think about shame and guilt, I think that if you're made to feel that your behavior is bad, then you feel guilty. But if you're made to feel that you are a bad person, then you feel shame.
That's a wonderful distinction. Julia said, if you feel like what you did is bad, then you feel guilty. If you feel like you're bad, then you feel shame. So really wonderful. Do we have another hand? Okay. So why don't we, after services or wherever you are, it's really important we continue the discussion. If you're interested, I'd be happy to talk to you after services. But it's really, really interesting that this is so integral and how we use it. So I don't know what the end result, we'll see. You'll have to look in the paper what we end up deciding with Williamsville. But you'll know the code underneath. We're going to be moving now to the end of the service. We go to Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu is a prayer that says it's not enough just to pray. Praying is great. You have to go from here to take action in this world. So we rise, page 586, and even though Bruce isn't here, I'm going to open our ark.
Oh.
עלינו לשבח, לדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
May be seated. We're going to turn now to our Mourners Kaddish. This is the part of the service where we support those that are no longer here, but also their families and communities. I think this is a wonderful way that we honor our ancestors, honor those that are close to us. We have had many losses recently. We are thinking about Sally Louise Anderson, Julius Brodsky, Stephen Janis, Morton Korn, and Ruth Palenker. And let me get you, we have another name, one second. Jerry Schultz, I think that's the deceased, and there will be a funeral service on Sunday. We are also thinking about, from years past, Peggy Altman, Sam Axelrod, Bernard Batt, Lois Block, Albert Bookbinder, Iris Bush, Samuel Cohen, Eleanor Frank, Patricia Crone, Freudenheim, Helene Frost, Joseph Gewurtzman, Larry A. Glasser, Barbara Goldstein, Marjorie S. Green, Ida Greenfield, Anna Gross, Randy Hill, Julia Canner, Barney Kaufman, Gino Klein, Mary Kranitz, Rachel Littenberg, Samuel Myers, Samuel Moscato, Eleanor Sheila Newman, Teresa Pascuzzi, Pearl Piquel, Ruth E. Pugash, Aaron Resnikoff, Joyce P. Robinson, Miriam Schulman, Meyer Sirota, Beatrice Stein, Saul Wabnick, Victor Wagner, Ray Weiner, Estelle Weitzer, and Leo Wolpin. If you have other names that you'd like to offer, just raise your hand and feel free to offer them.
Peter Gale.
All those whose custom it is to rise, it is on page 598 that will sanctify God's name in honor of those that are no longer with us. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah b'alma divra chirutei v'yamlik malchutei b'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almaya yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudashah b'richu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imramein, yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein, oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imramein. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. You may be seated. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And it looks like, I didn't even know, Marina is also going to be doing our announcements. You have your pick. We have 3 microphones here.
I'll just use this one. Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
A special welcome to the confirmation class from St. Paul's Lutheran Church. We're so happy that you could share this Shabbat with us. We'd like to thank our service greeter this evening, Linda Bergman, who got me out of having to come extra early. We appreciate your help. A very special thank you to Rabbi Alex and Cantor Frank for a lovely service in honor of Shabbat. Whether we are in person or virtual, we are always together for Shabbat. And thank you to Ken for playing for us so beautifully. Our virtual offerings on Saturday, our Torah study at 9 a.m., and the Shabbat morning service and virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11 o'clock via Zoom. Please see our website for the links. The Community Religious School is in session on Sunday, and it is the last day of the school year. It will be followed by a barbecue for the Community Religious School families. RSVP is required. Next Friday, our Erev Shabbat service will be at 7 o'clock in person and via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't miss Shabbat Shalom Mr. Dillon with our band. There will be an unveiling for Dorothy Shackman of blessed memory on Sunday at 11 at Whitechapel Memorial Park. Family and friends are welcome to attend. We send prayers to the family. Please join us on Tuesday at 7 o'clock in person or via Zoom for our annual congregational meeting. Annual reports will be shared along with the presentation of the President's Award to me, which is very nice, and I'm very grateful. Come and celebrate with us. The safe driving class is led by Bruce Corris, will again return this on Saturday, June 18th, from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This class will save you 10% off your liability, collision, and no-fault insurance for 3 years. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Shir Shalom. Please contact Bruce to register. Our gift shop will be open some Fridays before Erev Shabbat services between 6:30 and 7 when we are in person. We have a sale with 25% off and 50% off of many items. You can also make an appointment for other times by calling the temple office. Thank you to everyone who volunteered and purchased Chevettas. We couldn't do it without you. Chevettas will be back again on Tuesday, June 7th from 4 to 7 o'clock, and we hope to sell out early. Reserve your dinner now and receive the $1 discount. Go to the website to pre-order. If you notice, the parking lot has been restriped. That means the yellow lines are put back in, so we know where to park. And we thank Todd Sugarman for sponsoring the parking lot striping. It was a very generous gift from him, and we truly appreciate Todd keeping our property always looking at its best. We continue to evaluate all events and protocols on a week-by-week basis based on the standing of the pandemic. That is why our Board of Trustees voted unanimously to reinstate our mask requirement when inside of our building. We hope that this will be a short-term decision. Our most important priority is to keep everyone as safe as possible. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Todd, or Joanne. They are here for you. I think they will even give you a massage if you need it. Shabbat Shalom. Please help yourself to the Oneg to go. If you would like to sponsor an Oneg to go for any occasion or for no occasion at all, just to be a nice person, please contact Joanne. Shabbat Shalom.
And we're so happy to have the confirmation class with us. And we wish you a lot of luck with your studies, and you're always welcome here at Congregation Shir Shalom. And we're very blessed to have Ken here with us. Thank you, Cantor, for picking out some wonderful music for him. Let's give him some Broadway wave. We want him to come back, don't we? So we are nearing the end of our service now. We are ready for Adon Olam on page 625. Last night, we had an event over at the University at Buffalo, the 75th anniversary of the Buffalo Hillel of Buffalo. And at the end of it, there was a group there that we're hoping to bring over to Shir Shalom. Let's see. It was, what's the name of that group? It's an all-female.
Perfect Pitches or something like that.
It's like Perfect Pitches. And they're wonderful. It turns out Reverend Bill Hennessy's daughter, who's the Reverend at North, is in the group. So I thought, we'll bring them next year. But they actually, and it's largely a non-Jewish group, they did the Adon Olam. How perfect. And they did pretty well. They only one line. That's pretty complicated prayer. And I only heard one small mistake, really. So they really did fantastic. 625.
The lead singer, she must be Jewish, because she
Yes.
did a perfect, but they put it together so that the rest of the crew only needed to say those two words, Adon Olam, over and over again, and all kinds of, it's to the tune of, because I'm happy alone and
that's
sing
what it
a
was.
song. Adon Olam. So they were able, and with the beatboxing going on and everything, and it was quite stirring.
I'm so glad you told me the tune. It's like it's in my head, but I didn't quite get it.
Very nice.
See, it started from the beginning, the Lachuna Rana too. I talked about Don't Worry, Be
Get
Happy.
Yeah, there you go.
We did a complete bookend there.
Well, I need to put in a shameless plug for next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the band will be up here. We got a taste of them a couple weeks ago, right? Where we just did a mixed program, but this is basically all Bob Dylan tunes. And it'll be really, really nice. Really, really nice to get together. So come back, tell a friend. Just
Yeah,
come
if you
on
wanna
in. Blue Jean Shabbat too, so
If
don't
you
get
want-
dressed up now.
If you want to come back again, too. But we actually have a bar mitzvah, too.
Oh,
Evan
yeah,
Kavanaugh,
Evan.
who's on Saturday morning, but he'll be here with his family, too.
He'll be here Friday night. That's great. So wear your jeans and enjoy some Dylan music. Rabbi's going to be
I'm
bopping
ready,
around.
yeah.
He's
This
gonna
is how I dance. It's embarrassing.
Yep. So we're expecting you to dance around.
I know Cher's going to text me soon. Stop saying-
Stop moving. I'm glad my husband doesn't watch me too much. He used to. I used to come home, right, and find he was watching it on YouTube on the big screen. Yeah. But this one, this is an Adon alum by Sal Zim. Anybody ever heard of Sal Zim?
Sure, it's wonderful.
I studied with him, and yeah. So I think we're on page 625. Rabbi, do
Oh,
you have
yeah.
anything to add before we go into 625?
No, I think we should go right at it. Let's hear it.
All right. Adon olam, Hashem Allah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yet nasa, b'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, v'yacharei kiklot hakol, levado yivlok nora, v'hu haya, v'hu hove, v'hu yiyah b'tifara. Everyone, Adon olam, Hashem Allah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yit nasa, b'chefso kol, asay melech shemo nikra, v'hu echad, v'yein sheni, l'cham lo lehachbira, v'li reshit, v'li taklit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra. Adon olam, Hashem Allah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yit nasa, b'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, v'hu eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzochev libi ein tzara, v'hu nisi, umanos li, menat kol si b'yom ekra. Adon olam, Hashem Allah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yit nasa, b'chefso kol, asay melech shemo nikra. So the last verse we're going to try a little bit differently. I'm going to sing 2 words, and you're going to sing them after me. This is the old-fashioned way where I learned it. 20 some odd years ago, this is how I learned how to do it. So here we go. Biyado,
Yado,
avkid ruchi,
avkid ruchi,
v'yetishan v'yahira. Next line. Ve'yim ruchi,
ve'im ruchi,
giviati.
giviati.
Everyone together. Adonai li v'lo ira.
Adon olam, Hashem Allah,
B'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yet nasa, b'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra.
Wonderful. Now, Linda, you are going to get the challah, so come on over here. Oh, come on. You came in early. We get a chance to, since we're in our COVID roles here, so whoever gets, we get to give one special challah out to someone, so you get today.
Okay, thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return, Linda, these prayer books without the little leaflets in them, and collect your oneg to go as well. Shabbat shalom.
Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam